their thirsty heads. A perfumed thank you they seemed to say. Surely here was charm beyond compare to view. Maybe it was just that I was there with you. 'Twas just a garden in the rain, but then sent us happily on our way. I recall a summer.
Why, hello there. Ooh, what have I got to chat? That's what happens when you try and make a new setup, I suppose. Hello. How are we doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. What are you all doing? I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And if this chat box doesn't behave, I am going to scream. There we go. That should surely fix it. But welcome in. For those who have not been here before for one of these streams, they are still very new, so bear with me. I'm not at all an ASMR professional at all. I do not have the right composition for it. My keyboard and mouse are far too loud. They are very clicky-clacky. And I am far too excitable. Welcome in, everyone. How are we doing? Corvid Sapiens, it's wonderful to have you. Flash, hello. Delightful. Nezuko, how are you doing? Rosa, what story are you going to read? The Nameless City. Well, I thought we'd read a bit of Herbert West, Reanimator. I thought that would be quite exciting. Because I thought I'd try to find a story that's a similar length to the last one that we did. As that worked out quite well last time. This one's actually slightly shorter. So we should be okay. Ashy, welcome in. How are you doing? The morning moth. It is indeed. It is 8:10, so it's not terrible. I've been up since 7 rather than 6. I'm a bit more with it. I got a solid 3 hours sleep, so we're doing well. We're thriving. I know. I tried to edit something, but I didn't realise it would change the whole screen, so I apologise for the jump scare. Could you put the Nameless City? I will do, absolutely. I mean, I'm down for reading it today, but I you know, if people would like me to prefer to read the Nameless City, I can do. It's even shorter than Herbert West, which is absolutely fine by me. Like I said, I just tried to choose a story that's a similar length more than anything. Like I said, I am amateur. Please bear with me as I, well, get used to this whole ASMR shenanigans. So welcome to my library. I hope it's a cozy little environment for you. We've got the fireplace going, we've got the rain pit-pattering outside. I do believe there's a bit of thunder as well. Welcome in, welcome let's move that over, shall we? Didn't realize it to be so, obstructed. Let's move that over here. Mabel the Bunny, welcome in. Welcome to one of my softer streams, one of my quieter streams. Delight to have you, though. Welcome to my desk. I have my cup of tea. I need to have some more items on my desk, but I got a bit too excited about generally starting, so I thought rather than me sitting here and grabbing everything from my shelf and trying to shove it on a desk, actually perhaps starting the stream and reading is far better than just sitting here trying to put things on a table. I don't know about you. Besides, let's be honest, you're not here to watch me, are you now? You're not here to watch me. No, 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 no. Love at first word? Maple, you're too kind. Again, apologies for the clicky clackies. There is absolutely nothing I can do about that. My voice also tends to go a bit frog-like over time. Because like I said, I'm not quite used to these long reading streams yet. Especially in this lower voice, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Now, I do have a new extension that I just want to quickly try. It should be set up. But if it works, and theoretically it should work, there should be a stream closed caption thing that's going on. Can I use the timeout on me? Well, if you want to. I don't quite know why you're timing yourself out, though. So hopefully there should be a caption option that's going to appear. Now, I'm not entirely sure how it works, I'll be honest with you. But apparently it should be set up and it should be working. So if you bear with me a moment, I'm just going to check on my other screen if it is working. It was when I set it up, so theoretically it should work. However, we all know what technology is like. The stream closed captioner should be popping up on the side. Then you press settings and you choose your font that you want. There we go. There we go. So for those who want it, there's a little screen closed capture on the side. It's not fantastic, but it's about as good as the other one. Or, for those who do want it, I can turn on the ones that we had last time. Which are these ones here. If I can get them up. Which, once more, has ruined all of my settings. What? See, this is... Do streaming, they said. Things will go off without a hitch, they said. The technology would be wonderful, they said. It wouldn't be a problem at all, they said. No. Of course not. I can't even change... Oh. I'm trying, I promise you. I absolutely promise you I'm trying here. Change that then. What? Here we go. There we go. Okay, so that should be that. Done. Now if I refresh the page, it should... There we go. Hopefully that should be working now, and if it doesn't, I'll cry. Okay, yep, I'm gonna cry. Start captioning. I'm trying to have it so people can see what I'm saying, you silly little machine. No, silly little machine does not work, so we'll just stick to the one I've got. What a great start, Moth. What a great start. People have probably dropped like flies now. Oh, dearie, 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 dearie me. The clicky clacky is nice. Okay. That's good. I hope so. A second stream in one day. Well, theoretically for me, it's the next day. Kind of. Because I finished last night at about what? It must have been about 2 a.m.-ish? And for me it's now 8 a.m. Like I said, I had a good old 3 hours sleep, so we're doing well. But welcome in, Christian. How are you? Vice, delightful to have you. I don't have a good reason. Oh, James, Storm Spirit, hello, welcome in. Don't cry, it'll be okay. Oh. Well, it's only because I want things to be the best for you guys. I'm going to refund the Motivate Me, because I haven't actually got that on this screen yet. I'm a bit stinky like that. I tend to forget which sources I have open and stuff. Actually, theoretically, it should be here already, shouldn't it? So if I go into my existing captures, it should actually be here, and there you go, I'll give you one for free. I'll refund your points and give you one for free. What motivation have we got for today's reading stream? Disco is Latin and means where the magic happens. I don't think that's quite what it means, but we'll take it regardless. Thank you for the motivation. I'm good, just relaxing. Ghostly, hello, welcome in. It's late, but your voice is very comforting. Like, I'm glad to hear that. Remember, guys, disco. So I do have my alert sound turned off. Blurp is off. Tangier is off. So if you do use any of those, please remember that there will not be any audio. Because this is the cozy reading corner. And if you use those, you do so at your own risk. That way we're not hopefully jump scared by, you know, my horrendous alert sound. That likes to absolutely scream at the top of its lungs. The head pads and stuff should work, but only if I open the program that lets them. Which I should do, shouldn't I? So I'm going to refund those as well to you, Kid Without Cat. Because I'm not quite awake this morning. My brain is not there. I had so much fun last night, but I'm incredibly exhausted. But that's fine. Because all we're doing is, like I said, a cozy little reading stream. Some more H.P Lovecraft, as per request. There you go. The head pads and stuff should work now. Tis story time. I'm good too, just tired. Have one more night with my nephew. Oh, Storm Spirit, well, I wish you the best. Hopefully it all goes well for you. I hope he's doing okay. This is your friendly reminder. If you haven't already today, have a little sip of water. Have some kind of drink ready. I've got a nice mocha with me. Are we going to hear me slurp it? Nice mocha. And another friendly reminder, go and have something to eat if you haven't today. Have a little nibble. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe just something like if you've got an apple, apples are quite good. Maybe a handful of grapes, something along those lines. Brush your teeth, have a little brush of your hair. Put some socks on. Just do something that makes you a little bit cozier and a little bit more satisfactory about yourself. You're working against me. I'm trying to stay up to keep my night schedule. I see. Well, you're welcome, Christian. I'm here to terrorize. And RV, VT, or Aubrey, even. Welcome and thank you for the follow. It's a pleasure to have you. Welcome in, and all hail Smetty. Now, I'm just going to quickly take some of my medications because I forgot to before I started stream. So, if you give me a moment, this is also your friendly reminder to do that if you haven't. And if you're as forgetful as me. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. Good heckin' heck. Raiders, welcome in. Oh. Look, I'm normally a little chaotic being, so for me trying to keep calm and carry on here is incredibly difficult. Thank you so much. Welcome in, everyone. I am the Morbid Moth, a Sassy British Moth VTuber who sucks at games and life. Thank you so much for the raid, Aubrey. How are you doing? Welcome in. Today is our reading day. Sunday mornings are cozy days. I'm going to be reading a little bit of H.P Lovecraft, but welcome in. Let me just say hello to... Oh my word. Thank you for all the new follows. Caution Us J, welcome in. MSTR3, Universal Kratos, Mr. Sode, Liquid Honor, Real Shadowlord, SCP-1762 Bull, Benru, Belloding, Cairo, Craig, Eduardo, Ronin Tenshi, and Fenru. You're so meta, Morpho, codename Popcorn. Welcome in. You're so cozy. Why, thank you. What a great voice. Oh, stop it, you. So it's nothing. It's just a little British silly voice. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for the first time chats. I am British indeed. Live in England. Do English things. Obsessed of tea. I'm very stereotypical. Well, of course, you can all have a cup of tea. What can I make for you? I have the oven on, so I've got a dip. Well, thank you incredibly much for the raid. That is very, very, very sweet of you. It's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for stopping by. Go and do all your post-stream things. Have snacks, have cozy cuddles, have sleep, have a hydrate, and have a stretch. Amazing voice. Oh, thank you. It's nothing really. I only started doing these reading streams because of the demand of my chat. I'm still not quite used to the voice compliments yet, so and like I said, I'm no way an ASMR professional at all. This is only my second attempt. Smetty can have tea. Say bottle of water. Have a bottle of water on Tuesday. With a bottle of water on Tuesday. Any lychee tea? Oh, that sounds delightful. Of course I'm obsessed with tea. How can you not be? It is my second attempt. It is. I've got the advantage of the fact that it is currently 8:30 in the morning for me, so I still have the morning groggy voice. You all know how it is. Your second attempt, thank you very much. You sound like one of those soothing voices you hear from an audiobook. Well, that's the idea. That's what we're hoping to do. That's what I'm hoping to give you. Hoping to be able to read you some wonderful tales. Simply Sora, thank you for the follow. Welcome into the Morbid Mansion. And Mr. Septai, welcome into the Morbid Mansion. It's a pleasure to have you here. Please take a seat. There's plenty of tea and cake to go around. We're just here to be comfortable. It's a Sunday. Well, it is for me. It's a Sunday morning. It could be a Sunday evening for you. It could be a Saturday morning. Whatever it is for you. I hope you're having a delightful one. My morning groggy voice is a Ford F-150. Don't put yourself down. Bending silver spoons. Welcome in. Please don't bend my silver spoons. They're quite expensive here. Do you know how many teaspoons you need to have in a mansion? But yes, I am the Morbid Moth. I am a variety streamer. I do whatever takes my and my chat's fancy. I love just hanging out with you guys, chatting and chilling, playing some silly games, and overall just having a wonderful time. That is the idea of these. If I can give you a little smile, then my job has been complete. That is what I set out to do. I am a moth because I look for the light even in the darkest of places. They are. I am based off an elephant hawk moth. Do I get signal? How else do you think I talk to you lovelies? These little antennae are not just for show, you know. Nice. Thank you, sweetie. Incredibly sweet of you. Trying to get me to 1K. I still won't reach it. I'm sure about it. But you're very sweet. Your pronunciation is just god tier. It tickles my brain just right. Well, I'm glad. I do try my best, and I do fumble my words up. I am but a humble moth after all. I am no professional. I have had no professional voice training. But I would absolutely love to work on my voice stuff in the future. If there's anything I can do to improve and things like that, please do let me know. I want to make these as cozy and comfortable for you as possible. It's 3:29 a.m. Go and get some rest if you can. I've got you on those background notes. We're playing Farming Simulator. You know what? That sounds delightful. I'm a sucker for a good farming sim, let alone the Farming Simulator. Slayer, thank you for the first time chat. Welcome in. We have actually read the Call of Cthulhu version of Green Eggs and Ham before. That was awful good fun. 5K error. Well, I tell you what, because so many of you have come in and given me a lovely follow, I apologize, we have all of our notifications turned off on text to speak, but I'll read it out for you. I'm ready for the most relaxing reading of my life. I'll refund it for you as well, my lovely. There you go. I'll give you an ara for free. Ara. We'll go for that softer one today. Ara. I'm not a native speaker, but the way you speak... Oh, thank you. I do try. Don't you bonk my noggin. It feels like I stumbled into a castle in the middle of the night. Well, that's the idea. Oh, wanderers are welcome here. Jimmy, thank you for the follow. Q-Raider, welcome. And Slayer, thank you for sticking around. Have you printed a picture of Smitty yet? Oh, Storm Spirit. I've never actually met a British person, much less a fellow tea enthusiast. Well, of course. How can I be British and not enjoy my tea? That's just being sinful, if anything. Oh, no, no, no. We are tea devourers here. Tech White, welcome in. We haven't started the story yet. You're just in time. So, chat, I will be honest with you. For those who have stuck around here before, you know I get distracted by you lovelies. You know that. So if you're new here, do be prepared for me to get distracted by chat. I can't help but speak to all you little lovelies. But on reading streams, alas, I do tend to ignore you a little bit more, but I promise it's for good reason. It's so I can read you the story. Prating, welcome in. Or P. Raid. Welcome in. Thank you so much for coming to the Morbid Mansion. That was a nice hour. I'm glad to hear. I heard you in the room of the castle, and now I'm sleeping on the couch while you read your books. Of course. Like I said, just don't mind the dust, and the occasional ghost, and the odd demon. But we all have them, don't we? Our ghosts and our demons. And that's why you're here, really, isn't it? If you're interested in a bit of H.P Lovecraft, well... That's awesome. I'm her favorite. Now, behave yourselves. Forget the ada. Can you say bottle of water? I know, sacrilege, I am British. And I pronounce bottle of water. But I shall say it in the way the internet likes me to. Drinking a bottle of water on a Tuesday. Not Chris. You're not Chris? Or are you not Chris? Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Impressive. I'm Canadian, so I'm essentially a bootleg British. Bootleg British. Don't make me giggle. Don't make me giggle. Now, there should be some stream captions on the side as a little extension, so hopefully you should pick up what I'm saying. Bottle is better than bottle, but it makes more sense. You pronounce the T's. I thought you were British. Don't you have a lip to harden? My. Be careful or moth will get your tongue. Can I ask a question? Why, of course you can. And then we'll move on to our story. Although I'm having quite a fun time talking to you all. I'm not going to lie, you sound like an NPC from Dark Souls. Your deep professional voice. It is not professional. And my voice will most likely turn into a frog about halfway through, because I said I'm not used to these long reading streams yet, especially in this deeper voice. So if I do sound like a frog, just remind me to hydrate, and I'll try my best, my lovelies. Well, I mean, theoretically, we are going to be talking about some kind of undead and their lore. But it's more the undead being brought back without their permission. These aren't your typical ghosts and skeletons who are being brought back. No. These are ones with a tale of Herbert Wesker. Or Herbert West, you may know them. And the tale of Arkham, where many of H.P Lovecraft's stories reside. I have read many of H.P Lovecraft's work, but it's been a long while since I've read them, so I am just as delighted to go back to them as many of you are. She sounds like Bayonetta. Storm Spirit. I might make a snetty emote, just for you, Storm Spirit. If you want to know how to talk to a lady, just ask your mum. love to give gifts alongside of my kindness, and I feel like I'm doing the right thing. I have to go and buy the gift if I could. Stay quiet, shush. Your presence alone is a gift to the universe. Never forget that. What a fantastic name. Beefy McSteak. Delicious. Welcome into the Morbid Mansion. I hope you enjoy your time here. I don't know Landon. W Street. Oh, Daz. Coming in here being so polite. At first I thought you were a text chat stream. That's how soothing and nice your voice. Oh goodness, no. I am genuine. And I can be a lot more chaotic as well, especially when I'm playing more of my games. I have two very different sides of me, but one of the same. There's a little bit for everyone here. Trip and land on these nuts. That's so stupid. I love it. Gadrian, welcome in. Welcome to the mansion. Gosh, I might need to get an extension soon. Could you read some lines for a sub? It's just a short paragraph, my favourite character. Darling, I'd read it even without a sub. Two sides of the same coin, precisely. Someone's got to have some control of the chaotic side. Besides, it keeps everyone on their toes. They never know what they're going to get. I'll make a storm, please. It's about 1 AM, so I'm going to go to sleep. In a very nice voice, by the way. Thank you ever so much, Fenru. Do rest well. Don't let the bed bugs bite. And thank you for stopping on by from the raid. Okay. So without further ado, we are going to start our reading. I'm 10 hours behind. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, wait, oh. Mama said life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. The temptation to do that in the accent, though. Drexinger. So much for the follow. Welcome to the mansion. I hope you find it a wonderful, cozy place. I hope you enjoy your time here. I would need to sleep as well, no worries. For those who need to go, fret not. Go enjoy your wondrous slumbers. You take care of yourselves. Have a fabulous sleep and have a fantastic day tomorrow. Or as I like to say, have a wonderful day, night, morning, evening. Whatever it is for you, I hope you have a delightful one. This nigger's bar 8 is finally catching up with me. Listen, if you're on the internet, you either survive off sugar, caffeine, or hatred, or a combination of all three. I personally am more of a sugar and caffeine kind of moth. Oh, that's a big I'm sorry. I wish I could sleep. Well, Storm Spirit, no worries. Hopefully you enjoy the relaxing story. Well, I say relaxing, it's Lovecraft. But you know, I'm just going to move my microphone, so apologies if there's an earthquake. Hopefully there won't be. There we go. Hopefully my microphone stand won't fall on me again like it did the other day, because that was terrifying. She's so nice, we must protect. Oh, shush you. It doesn't cost anything to be nice. And there's too much hostility online on the internet as it is, you know? And take care, Slayer. Now, there is an ad starting soon, so what I'm going to do, I've already snoozed all my other ads. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the ad to finish before we start the story. And then once we do it, once the ad's over, I'll begin. As we are now 40 minutes into our reading. For those who don't know what smetty is, all I have to say is don't worry about it. Long story short, there's a cryptid in Wyoming called Snetty. It resides in the lake and is essentially a bootleg wish version of the Loch Ness monster. I'll see if I can get up the picture that we had the other day. It was it Wyoming or Wisconsin? One of the W's. I'm British, look, come on. Yeah, Wyoming, that's it. Right, let me get Smetty up for you. I can't believe I'm doing this. A save image. No, but we'll just share our screen. So that is Snetty. Let me shrink it back down. There we go. So this is Snetty. The wonderful, wonderful cryptid that lives in Wyoming's lake. We feel like we must protect him now. You know what I mean? Look at that precious little bean. Look at that. So when you're thinking of your Lovecraftian horrors, I hope you're imagining Snetty, because look at that divine. Hmm? And does his face not scream for help like all of us do in the dark? I think so. There you go, the concept of Snetty has now been explained. So now it shouldn't sound like a rude innuendo anymore. It's Betty. Vector manipulation. Like that name. That's a fun name to say. Vector manipulation. Welcome in. My lumps. My lovely lady lumps. Check them out. Okay, so ad is currently happening, so like I said, I will wait for those who come back from Adland. We shall start our story. Lest chat distract me. More so than usual, that is. Okay. You don't believe me? That's rather rude of you. So again, if I'm ignoring you, chat, it is not because I'm ignoring you, it's just purely because I'm focusing on the story, okay? You all know I love you dearly. Hmm? Good. Demon Fox King, hello! Welcome in. I see you there. You don't have to be shy. You're welcome in any time, you know that. should not be laughing this hard. Don't you set me off. Look, I'm trying to be all deep and seductive like, Don't get me squeaking. Okay. You can't say I don't try, at least. And without further ado, and a welcome and a big thank you to all the new followers. And our recent 700 followers as well, which is ridiculous. I'm still in shock by that. I'm the Morbid Moth, and welcome to my library. Today we'll be reading Herbert West, The Reanimator by H.P Lovecraft. Again, please bear in mind I am an amateur. I am not a professional voice actor, and I will get words muddled. I will lose my marking in my reading, and my voice will turn to a frog halfway through, but that's okay. The 700 tea timers, ooh. Ooh. Exactly, no one's perfect, and we need to make that more of a normality. Lampy Moth, thank you for the hydrate. There we go. My tea has been finished. My voice has been lubricated. Or is that another forbidden internet word? I don't know. But Lampy Moth, welcome in. Delight to have you here. You were just in time. For Chapter 1, From the Dark. Chapter 1, From the Dark. Of Herbert West, who was my friend in college and in afterlife, I can only speak with extreme terror. This terror is not due altogether to the sinister manner of his recent disappearance, but was endangered by the whole nature of his life work, and first gains its acute form more than 17 years ago, when we were in the third year of our course at the Miskatonic University Medical School in Arkham. While he was with me, the wonder and diabolism of experiments fascinated me utterly, and I was his closest companion. Now that he has gone and the spell is broken, the actual fear is greater. Memories and possibilities are ever more hideous than the realities. The first horrible incident of our acquaintance was the greatest shock I'd ever experienced, and it was only with reluctance that I repeated. As I have said, it happened when we were in the medical school, where West had already made himself notorious through his wild theories on the nature of death, and the possibility of overcoming it artificially. His views, which were widely ridiculed by the faculty and his fellow students, hinged on essentially being a mechanistic nature of life, and concerned a means for operating the organic machinery of mankind by calculated chemical action after the failure of the natural processes. In his experiments of various animating solutions, he had killed and treated immense numbers of rabbits, guinea pigs, cats, dogs, and monkeys till he had become the prime nuisance of the college. Several times he'd actually obtained signs of life in animals, and supposedly dead, but in many cases violent signs. But he soon saw that the perfection of his process, if indeed possible, would necessarily involve a lifetime of research. It likewise became clear that since the same solution never worked alike on different organic species, it would require human subjects for further and more specialized progress. It was here that he first came into conflict with the college authorities, and was debarred from future experiments by no less a dignitary than the dean of the medical school himself, and none other than the benevolent Dr. Alan Hazley, whose work in behalf of the stricken is recalled by every old resident in Arkham. I'd always been exceptionally tolerant of West's pursuits, and we frequently discussed his theories, whose ramifications and corollaries were almost infinite. Holding with Haeckel all his life is a chemical and physical process, and that the so-called soul is a myth. My friend believes that artificial reanimation of the dead can depend only on the condition of the tissues, and that unless actual decomposition has set in, a corpse fully equipped with organs may, with suitable measures, be set going again in the peculiar fashion known as life. And that with this life, the psychic or intellectual life might be impaired by the slightest deterioration of sensitive brain cells, which even a short period of death would be apt to cause. West fully realized, and it had first been his hope to find a reagent which would restore vitality before the actual advent of death, and the only repeated failures on Gosh darn you all. I was doing so well. Welcome in, Crusader 37 Gamer. Thank you for the follow. That's very kind of you. And thank you for protecting me from chat. Cinematics, thank you for the follow and welcome in. I hope you enjoy your time at the Morbid Mansion. Get cozy, get comfy. Not the jar. Look, we're trying to normalize jars again on my channel. We're trying to bring back the normality of a jar. It will happen. Good morning, Mothy and chat. This is a very comfy Sunday morning. And a good morning to you, Freb. How are you doing? What's in the jar? Oh. Just jar things. Oh, gosh darn. Thank you so much for the follow. Jimmy Susimo Dihypo. Welcome to the mansion. I hope you do enjoy your stay. Help yourself to all the tea and cake you can absolutely desire. Just, don't ask how I acquired some of them. I'm good, just getting some tea. Wonderful. The fire is bright. It is a very bright fire. Something's got to keep the shadows at bay. Besides, a moth. Bright light, make happy brain. If only it was that easy, the poor... Oh, no. Oh, goodness. Look, you've done it again. Thank you. We're onto the water now. That's better. It had first been his hope to find a reagent that would restore vitality before the actual advent of death, and only repeated failures on animals had shown him that the natural and artificial life motions were incompatible. He then sought extreme freshness in his specimens, injecting his solutions into the blood immediately after the extinction of life. It is not this circumstance which made the professors so carelessly skeptical. They felt that true death had not occurred in any case. They did not stop to view the matter closely and reasoningly, and it was not long after that the faculty had indirected his work that West confided to me his resolution to get fresh human bodies in some manner, and to continue the secret experiments he could no longer perform openly. To hear him discussing ways and means was rather ghastly, for at the college we had never procured anatomical specimens ourselves. Whenever the morgue proved inadequate, two local somethings attended to this matter, and they were seldom questioned. West was a small, slender, spectacled youth with delicate features, yellow hair, pale blue eyes, and a soft voice. It was uncanny to hear him dwelling on the relative merits of Christchurch Cemetery and the Potter's Field. We finally decided on the Potter's Field because practically every body in Christchurch was embalmed, a thing of course ruinous to West's researches. I was by this time his active and enthralled assistant, and helped him make all his decisions, not only concerning the source of bodies, but concerning a suitable place for our loathsome work. Thank you for the follow, solar powered bard. Welcome in. Also, I would just like to, whilst I've got this moment, briefly remind people that these works are obviously of their time. There are some words I will not be reading out loud, and some takes that are no longer that of the modern day. Do bear that in mind. Thank you. It was I who fought the deserted Chapman farmhouse beyond Meadow Hill, where we fitted up on the doings. The place was far from any road, and in sight of no other house, yet precautions were nonetheless necessary, since rumours of strange lights, started by chance nocturnal roamers, would soon bring disaster on our enterprise. It was agreed to call the whole thing a chemical laboratory, if a discovery should occur, and gradually we equipped our sinister haunt of science with materials either purchased in Boston or quietly borrowed from the college. Materials carefully made unrecognizable save to expert eyes, and provided spades and picks for the many burials we should have to make in the cellar. Don't better, of course. Have a delightful breakfast. You take care of yourself. The bedtime story is called Herbert West, Reanimator by the wonderful H.P Lovecraft. And thank you, Sivanderful? I hope I said that right. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. And don't bitter. Don't BT or don't beta. Thank you very much. Daz, please mind my manners, but what is your name? Well, it's a delight to meet you, everyone. For those who have not met me before or introduced myself, I am the Morbid Moth. You can call me Morbid or Mothy or anything else as long as it's not an insult. But yes, I am an elephant hawk moth. I live in the UK. And I was initially an original boring old moth until one day I decided to eat the page of a witch's book, which, well, subsequently turned me into this. But I'm a sassy British moth VTuber who sucks at the games and life and generally just likes to have chaos. Have a good old chat. Play games and chill and do whatever tickles our fancy. I choose Mothy. But yes, morbid because I do have a, well, curiosity for the darker things in life. Never trust witches or their books. Well, basically, yes, I lived in the witch's hut for quite some time. And she always left her books unguarded, and I just take little nibbles out of them. There just happened to be one particular book that I, well, shouldn't have had a nibble of, shall we say. The Scoot Puff. Hello, welcome in. How are you doing? You've just started reading. We're not too far in. But chat keeps distracting me like the wonderful little beings they are. I hope you're doing well today. I hope you're having a fabulous day or evening. Within our story so far, we're essentially just discussing how the colleague of our protagonist has a certain curiosity in reanimating the dead, and not doing it also legally, shall we say. The laboratory was far, far from any road, and in sight of no other house. Yet precautions were none less necessary, since rumours of the strange lights, started chanced by nocturnal aromas, would soon bring disaster on our enterprise. It was agreed to call the whole thing a chemical laboratory should the discovery occur. Gradually, we equipped our sinister haunt of science with materials either purchased in Boston or quietly borrowed from the college. Materials carefully made unrecognizable save to expert eyes, and provided spades and picks for the many burials we should have to make in the cellar. At the college we used an incinerator, but the apparatus was too costly for an unauthorized laboratory. Bodies were, well, always a nuisance, and even the small guinea pig bodies from the slight clandestine experiments in Wester's room at the boarding house. We followed the local death notices like ghouls for our specimens, and they demanded particular qualities. For what we wanted were corpses interned soon after death, and without artificial preservation, preferably free from malforming disease, and certainly with all organs present. Accidental victims were our best hope, and not for many weeks did we hear of anything suitable, though we talked with the morgue and hospital authorities, ostensibly in the college's interest, as often as we could without exciting suspicion. We found that the college has a first choice in every case, so it might be necessary to remain in Arkham during the summer, when only the limited summer school classes were held. In the end, though, luck favoured us. For one day we heard of an almost ideal case in the Potter's Field. A brawny young workwoman drowned only in the morning before in the summer's pond, and was then buried town's expense without delay or embalming. That afternoon we found the new grave and determined to begin work soon after midnight. It was a repulsive task that we undertook in the black small hours, and even though we lacked at the time the special horror of graveyards which later experiences brought to us, we carried spades and oil, dark lanterns, for although electric torches were then manufactured, they were not as satisfactory as the tungsten contrivance of today. The process of unearthing was slow and sordid. It might have been gruesomely poetical if we had been artists instead of scientists, and we were glad when our spades struck wood. When the pine box was fully uncovered, West scrambled down and removed the lid, dragging out and propping up the contents. I reached down and hauled the contents out of the grave, then both toiled hard to restore the spot to its former appearance. The affair made us, well, rather nervous, and especially the stiff form and vacant face of our first trophy. But we managed to remove all traces of our visit, and when we had patted down the last shovel of earth, we put the specimen in a canvas sack and set out for the old Chapman place beyond Meadow Hill. On an improvised dissecting table in the old farmhouse, and by the light of a powerful acetylene lamp, the specimen was not very spectral looking. It had been sturdy and apparently unimaginative youth, a wholesome plebeian type, large-framed, grey-eyed, and brown-haired, a sound animal without any psychological subtleties, and probably having a vital processes of the simplest and healthiest sort. Now, with the eyes closed, it looked more asleep than dead, though the expert test of my friend soon left no doubt on that score. We had at last what West had always longed for, a real dead man of the ideal kind, ready for the solution as prepared according to the most careful calculations and theories for human use. The tension on our part became very great. We knew that there was scarcely a chance for anything like complete success, and could not avoid hideous fears and possible grotesque results of partial animation. Especially, we were apprehensive concerning the mind and impulses of the creature, since in the space following death, some of the more delicate cerebral cells might have suffered deterioration. I, myself, still held some curious notions about the traditional soul of man, and felt an awe at the secrets that might be told by one returning from the dead. I wondered what sights this placid youth might have seen in inaccessible spheres, and what he could relate if fully restored to life. But my wonder was not overwhelming, since for the most part I shared the materialism of my friend. He was calmer than I as he forced a large quantity of his fluid into a vein of the body's arm, immediately binding the incision securely. The waiting was gruesome, but West never faltered. Every now and then he applied a stethoscope to the specimen, and bore the negative results philosophically. About after 3/4 of an hour, with the least sign of life, he disappointedly pronounced the solution inadequate. But determined to make the most of his opportunity and try one change in the formula before disposing of his ghastly prize. We had that afternoon dug a grave in the cellar. We'd had to fill it by dawn, for although we had fixed a lock on the house, we wished to shun even the remotest risk of a ghoulish discovery. Besides, the body wouldn't even be approximately fresh the next night. So taking the solitary acetylene lamp into the adjacent laboratory, we left our silent guest on the slab in the dark, and bent every energy into a mixing of a new solution. The weighing and measuring supervised by West with an almost fanatical care. The awful event was very sudden and wholly unexpected. I was pouring something from one test tube to another, and West was busy over at the alcohol blast lamp which had an answer to the Bunsen burner in this gasless office, when from the pitch-black room we had left burst the most appalling demonic succession of cries that either of us had ever heard. Not more than utterable could have been more than the chaos of hellish sound if the pit itself had opened to release the agony of the damned. For in one inconceivable cacophony was centered all of the supernatural terror and unnatural despair of animate nature. Human it could not have been, and it is not in man to make such sounds, and without thought, our late employment, or possible discovery, both West and I leapt to the nearest window like stricken animals, overturning tubes, lamps, and retorts, and vaulting madly into the starred abyss of the rural night. I think we screamed ourselves as we stumbled frantically towards the town, though as we reached the outskirts, we put on a semblance of restraint, just enough to seem like belated revelers staggering home for a debauch. We did not separate, but managed to go to West's room, where he wisped the gas up until dawn. By then we had calmed ourselves a little, with rational theories and plans for investigation so that we could sleep through the day, classes being disregarded, of course. But that evening, 2 items in the paper, wholly unrelated, made it again impossible for us to sleep. The old deserted Chapman house had inexplicably burned into an amorphous heap of ashes that we could understand because of the upset lamp. So, in an attempt that had been made to disturb a new grave in the potter's field, as if by futile and spadeless clawing at the earth, that we could not understand, for we had patted down the mould very carefully. And for 17 years after that, West would look frequently over his shoulder and complain of fancied footsteps behind him. And now, well, he has disappeared. Chapter 2. The Plague Demon. I shall never forget that hideous summer 16 years ago, when like a noxious afrit from the halls of Eblis typhoid stalked leeringly through Arkham. It is by that satanic scourge that I most recall the year, for truly terror brooded with bat-wings over the piles of coffins in the tombs of Christchurch Cemetery. Yet, for me there is a greater horror in that time. A horror known to me alone that now Herbert West and disappeared. West and I were doing postgraduate work in summer classes at the medical school of the Miskatonic University. My friend had attained a wide variety because of his experience leading towards the revivification of the dead. After the scientific slaughter of uncountedly small animals, the freakish work had ostensibly stopped by order of our skeptical dean, Dr. Alan Hazley, though West had continued to perform certain secret tasks in his dingy boarding house room, and had on one terrible, unforgettable occasion taken a human body from his grave in the potter's field to a deserted farmhouse beyond Meadows Hill. I was with him on that odious occasion, and saw him inject into the still veins the elixir which he thought would to some extent restore life's chemical, physical processes. And it ended horribly, in a delirium of fear which we gradually came to attribute to our own overwrought nurse, and West had never afterward been able to shake off a maddening sensation of being haunted and hunted. The body had not been quite fresh enough, and it is obvious that to restore normal mental attributes, a body must be very fresh indeed. And the burning of the old house had prevented us from burying the thing. It would have been better if we could have known which was underground. And after that experience, West had dropped his researches for some time. But as the zeal of the born scientist slowly returned, he again became important for the college faculty, pleading for the use of the dissecting room and of the fresh human specimens for the work he regarded so overwhelmingly important. His pleas, however, were wholly in vain, for the decision of Dr. Hazley was inflexible, and the other professors all endorsed the verdict of their leader. In the radical theory of reanimation, they saw nothing but the immature vagaries of a youthful enthusiast whose slight form, yellow hair, spectacled blue eyes, and soft voice gave no hint of the supernormal, and almost diabolical power of the cold brain within. I could see him now as he was then, and I shiver. We're going to pause here for a moment, because an advert is going to happen, so we're going to take a little break. We just wait for those who are stuck in Adland to return. How are we doing though? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to speed up? Like I said, I can only improve myself if you give me that wonderful feedback. What's Atland? Almost asleep. Oh, good liquid. Do rest well. I hope the ads don't wake you up. That is the one obnoxious thing about trying to fall asleep, having a Twitch open. The occasional ad will just bombard you and shake you to the core. Isn't Adland the line from Narnia? I think it is, isn't it? It's been a while since I've read Narnia. I wish I could read clearly, like how I don't read clearly at all. Darling, thank you though. I find myself pinching at myself as I mumble and fumble on my words. As my voice grows regrettably groggy. You can already hear now I've got a little frog voice. But thank you, Ghostly King Ghostly Plop. What a fantastic name. Don't be modest. Stop it, you. I'm not good with compliments. Your Maest Mocker, welcome in. How are you doing? I'm glad I'm still awake to enjoy the stream. I got off work at midnight. Oh, bless you. Well, I hope your shift went well. I hope it wasn't too tiring. Or at least I hope you managed to get some rest if it was. The dullest mumble fumblings of a mothy, basically. Oh, excuse me. That's what happens when you get 3 hours sleep, I suppose. I definitely need to get a book on my desk, rather than me staring into the void. Okay, Atlant should be done. Theoretically, of course. We all know how it really is. Oh, gosh. Yes, that'll do the trick. Thank you, Taz. Oh, there we go. Long to the noggin is sure to wake one up after all. Thank you to those who are still here if you sat through the ads. It is greatly appreciated. I know often when ads start, people like to vanish, so thank you if you are still here. And just thank you in general for being here. Spending time with me in my silly little library. Good morning, Python. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well today. Usually that puts them to sleep. Thank you, I love this place. You're always welcome around here. Like I said, there's plenty of room for everyone. I've always stocked up on tea and cake, and if you don't like tea, don't worry, I've got coffee, I've got juice, I've got water, whatever tickles your fancy. I'm doing really good, and how are you? I'm doing very well, thank you, Python, and all the better to hear that you're doing really good. What are the favourite books in your library? Oh, now. Those I can't disclose. Not with the likes of, No. My favourite books? That's a very good question. I should really compile a list, because quite honestly, I have quite a few. One of them, I have to say, would definitely be... Oh... What would I choose? You've wrecked my brain now. Let's go for Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I'm trying to think of ones that people may perhaps have not heard of rather than the bigger ones. It's basically set in 19th century England during the Napoleonic Wars, where magic, practical magic that is, had essentially fallen out of favour and was barely in existence. However, certain interesting gentlemen decide they want to bring some magic back to the world and use it in practical means. There's tales of fae and demons and fairies and all sorts, and it is very interesting. It's a nice take on it, a nice kind of more how magic would be used, especially during war. It's very interesting. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Anyway, back to it. So for those who have just joined, long story short, there's this gentleman who tried to reanimate the dead unsuccessfully, and one time, well, he used a body and they heard a scream, but they never actually saw what came out of it, and the next day the whole building had burnt down, so they never actually knew what came from their experiments. I should really have I tell you what, where's my pen? Just write it on my phone. Oh no, you're gonna hear some keyboard tippy-tappies. I'm going to have like a book section. On Discord. That way we can have a really little library area. And we can hopefully compose a nice little collection going. And now we continue. I can see him now as he was then, and I shiver. He grew sterner of face, but never elderly, and now Stephen Asylum had the mishap, and West had vanished. West clashed disagreeably with Dr. Hazley near the end of our last undergraduate term, in a wordy dispute that did less to credit to him than the kindly dean in the point of courtesy. He felt that he was needlessly and irrationally silly. Again, certain words will not be read out. and supremely great work, and a work which he could of course conduct to suit himself in later years, but which he wished to begin while he still possessed the exceptional facilities of the university. That the tradition-bound elders should ignore his singular results on animals and persist in their denial of the possibility of reanimation was inexpressibly disgusting and almost incomprehensible to a youth of West's logical temperament. Only greater maturity could help him understand the chronic mental limitations of the professor-doctor type, the product of the generations of pathetic vegetarianism. Kindly, conscientious, and sometimes gentle and amiable, yet always narrow, intolerant, custom-ridden, and lacking in perspective. Oh my... Welcome in, Raiders. How are you doing? Let me give you a wonderful shout-out. How are you doing? External Soul V3, thank you ever so much for the raid. How are you doing? And welcome in. I hope you had a fantastic stream. Don't forget to hydrate, have a stretch, have a wee. Do all of those wonderful post-stream things that you need to do. We're doing amazing. I'm glad to hear. Welcome in. We are reading Herbert West, Reanimator by H.P Lovecraft. Valstromania, thank you for the follow and welcome in. Joker's Wild, hello. I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you doing? What are you up to in your stream? What mayhem were you procuring? We just got back from hunting some ghosts. Oh, was it a bit of phasmophobia or something? I love a bit of phas. Evil Assassin 19, welcome in. How are you doing? Wolfie not. Fret not, I see you. You were certainly not left behind from your raid. Your raiders are here with you, and I thank them deeply. We're having a cozy chill reading chat on a Sunday. I am the Morbid Moth, and it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm a Sassy British Moth VTuber who sucks at games and life. I have two sides to me. One is a chaotic little gremlin who screeches as she plays video games, and the other side as well. This deeper, sultry side who likes to enjoy a wonderful little reading. You have a very posh voice for a fellow Brit. Well, thank you, Evil Assassin. Wonderful to have a fellow Brit in here. Someone who can understand all of my memes and idiocism. The pleasure is all mine. No, the pleasure is mine. Welcome to the Morbid Mansion. Your voice is so soothing. Oh, bless you. Thank you very much. Well, like I said, this is our cozy streaming time. It was some fast. We had some funny moments, but saw you alive and had to support. Oh, bless you. That is incredibly kind of you. Well, I've popped you a follow external. Hopefully I'll be able to catch you next time. And I love a bit of phasmophobia as well. You can't go wrong. Nurse Skittles. I want Skittles, Nurse. That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for the follow and welcome in. Help yourself to the tea and the cakes, and as I say to everyone, please don't mind the dust. I can't help it. Oh, Wolfie love, thank you for the follow. Welcome in as well. I hope you enjoy your time here. I love reading streams. I've done one once, but I struggled reading the entire book of Alice in Wonderland. Your voice is so lovely too. Love the vibe. Well, good for you for trying. I could not read an entire book that long. I find these little short stories quite taxing on the voice. Reading streams are so much fun though. I do like them a lot. I am not a professional though. And my voice does turn croaky. I fumble up my words. I get lost in the page. I am but a humble moth, after all. But thank you so much for the compliment. That is very sweet of you. I'm not good with compliments, okay? Stop it, all of you. But thank you very much. You've all been very, very sweet. I've had lots of people coming in here today and being very, very kind. And I'll happily accept them as long as you're only kind to yourselves. That's the rule here. It's the same with the hydrates or stretches. If you redeem it, it means you have to do it yourself. We look after each other in here. So are the Twitch trolls built into the mansion walls, or is there to repent for being a troll? Oh, we do get them. We do get them. Oh, fret not. We have our fair share. Oh. Thank you for the bonk on the noggin. I do need to wake up a little bit. If you don't want compliments, you need... Freb. Freb. I shall stretch and drink water. Do exactly everything you need to do post-stream things. How do you fare with the short stories? Have you done a full chapter books for spacing them apart? I want to get back into them. Well, at the moment I'm doing Lovecraft, which the short stories are about 12 to 20,000 words. And I find them just the perfect length, but my mouth does get incredibly dry as well. And as you can hear, my voice turns quite frog-like after a little bit. Lots of hydration. And give yourself frequent breaks, I'd say. Allow yourself to have those little moments between the chapters to kind of have a little refresh. But nurse, do believe in yourself. You can do it. I'm going to pop you a follow if you do fellow reading streams. Honestly, the best thing is just practicing. I'll be honest with you, this is only like my second reading stream, so I'm just as new to it as most people. The reading vibes are amazing, and so are you. Oh, thank you, but I'll definitely have to check you out, Nurse Skittles. I'll definitely have to check you out. Makes my ears happy. My acute sensation manifests. She's in grayscale, and her voice is a soft grey. Oh, I'll take that. Oh, that sounds rather comforting. Like a goose feather. Oh, solar power. Gosh. I'm glad to provide such comfort in an area for everyone. I'm trying to get back into streaming after health issues in college. Oh, I feel that. Oh, darling, I was in the exact same boat. I've only come back fairly recently myself. Your voice is so soothing, it helps. Well, absolutely, nurse. Go for it. Believe in yourself. Just experiment. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Do what you want to do. And take the time for you as well. I see we have a Motivate Me redeem. So I'm going to give everyone a bit of motivation. Now, for those who don't know what this is Inspirabot. It generates random motivational quotes. They can be a bit spicy sometimes, so bear with. Python, thank you for the motivation. The motivation is lonely. Time to get a donut. That could be taken in more than one way, and I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. But I'm always down for a donut. Who doesn't love a good donut? To be honest, a good sugared jam one is a classic and a favourite of mine. So thank you for the motivation, Python. You could be my donut. Well, I am a bit of a silly donut, aren't I? You know the real me, not this deep, sultry side of me. Reading you at night with the little fire makes me want to lay in bed and fall asleep like I'm a kid again. Well, that's fine. The whole point of this is to just have a cozy, comfy vibe. It's just to help you unwind at the end of a long, hard-working week. Decompress and just have a moment to yourself. Whether you have me on in the background and you're barely listening to me, whether, you're listening intently, anything that you're doing, at the end of the day, you're taking a moment out to have a bit of mindfulness for yourself. Because reading is a very kind of focal matter, isn't it? It takes that concentration out of the day. It takes you out of the main hectic reality that exists. And just brings you into the moment. I'd love to play background music on my You have a mandolin? That is incredible. I'd love a mandolin. It's been fun, hun, but I've got to run. See you soon, Moth Mama. Daz, thank you so much for the follow, and thank you for your cheeky little chats. It's been a delight to meet you, and you take care of yourself. And I'm not a Moth Mama. I'm a... Behave, evil. Behave. Also tremolo and G. Ooh, solar powered. Solar powered? You sound incredibly talented. The first book of the Lost Swords. Can't say I've heard of that, but that sounds interesting. Do it. You don't know until you try. You really don't. And at the end of the day, as long as you're having fun and you're enjoying what you're doing, who cares how it comes out, you know? What microphone do you have? Oh, thank you very much. It's a Blue Yeti. I'm glad it's set up right for a change. I am abhorrent with technology, you see. Absolutely abhorrent. I do try my best, but I'm by means no tech wizard, especially for someone who resides on the internet. But thank you very much. Yes, Blue Yeti. I do recommend it. But I also would warn you that it is incredibly sensitive. It can hear everything. And I mean absolutely everything. It can hear your neighbors. I mentioned it to Skittles, now we raided you. What a coincidence. Aurora 27666. Welcome in. What a beautiful name. How are you doing? Thank you for stopping on by. I've got so much further to go in my bardic studies, and you'll get there. By the sounds of it, you're putting in plenty of hard work. And that's only the half of it. The other half is at enjoying yourself as you're doing this at hard work. Don't let it rip, that'll be... Well, I as a lady, personally, don't anyway, but yes, do not, as Evil Assassin says, do not let it rip. I'm good, how about you? I'm glad to hear you're doing well, Aurora. I really am. I'm doing splendidly, thank you. Just having a little breather before we go into our continuing to read, because we had a lovely raid from the beautiful External Soul. The world's a stage. Those little dance emotes are cute. Oh, External Soul. Oh, you don't have to. Oh, you're too kind. Bless you. Absolute sweet pea. Thank you so much for that. And thank you. That hype pug is incredible. Oh, that's Lottie, by the way. That's Lottie. She's my doggo. She does get excited when someone walks past the window, so you may hear her at some point. She gets very excitable, so you will probably hear her at some point, especially as the day goes on. Because it is currently about 9:36 AM for me. So she should just be waking up in a smidge. I also have 2 cats that like to knock things over, so... Like I said, my room and my house are not very ASMR friendly. But I do certainly try. New doggo for my collection. That is such a good hype pug. I love it. I have 4 cats. Oh, delightful. I'm a big cat person. I do have a pet doggo, but I'm more definitely a cat person at heart. But to be fair, I'm just an animal person in general. It's hard not to be when you're an insect, you know? The best pug for hype. It is so good. I get more worried when someone doesn't like animals, you know what I mean? To me, that's just like, wee woo, red flag. How could you not like animals? I wish I could own a cat. I'm allergic to the fur. Well, you can get hypoallergenic cats, but I understand a Kingo sea. It is a bit of a scary thing if you're allergic to something. Oh my gosh, look at that doggo collection. Oh, that is blessed. Oh, we have been blessed by those doggos. Mobs, welcome in. Welcome in. A wonderful traveller has blessed us today. Thank you for stopping by the mansion. You know you're always welcome to rest here. How are your travels? I'll be lurking for sure. The council wants to watch a movie before we head to bed. Of course. Do you know what kind of movie you're watching? Thank you so much for stopping by, External, and thank you for the sub. That's very sweet of you. I've had cats, but I'm allergic, so... Oh, Wolfie, I'm so sorry. It's so difficult, isn't it? Because you love the animals, but they don't love you, so to speak. Well, your body doesn't, at least. I'm sleepy. Oh, Mobs, well, you're in the right place. Hopefully I can help you, go softly to sleep. Or wake you up and be obnoxious, one of the two. It's always a coin toss with me, isn't it? They want to watch a horror movie as it's almost 4 a.m. Oh, goodness gracious. 4 a.m., my word. Do get some rest. Don't stay up too late. Look after yourselves, my. But even if you don't go to sleep, though, do try and get some chill relaxing in. Thank you for stopping by. Have a wonderful evening. Well, early morning. And hopefully I'll see you around soon. A sus bunny boy. What sleep? Oh dear. Well, we'll have our motivation and we'll go back to the story. So, Mobs. Your motivation for everyone is... If there's a way to stop it, there's a way to become sterile from it. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. That's a rather ominous one. I like the doggo though. 10-10 for doggo. Snug as a bunny and as snug as a bug, but I'll take care, so please do as well. Of course, External. Enjoy your movie. Thank you so much again for your kindness. Very, very sweet of you. And I'll catch you around, hopefully. Like I said, hopefully I'll try and pop into one of yours. And Nurse, if you're still here as well, hopefully I'll be able to catch you at some point. Good night, Aurora. Rest well. Thank you for stopping by. And to you, my dear, and to you. Sleep is a curse. I've tried... Oh no. You tried the forever tired debuff. Well, you're in the right place then. Many of us here have troubles with sleep, whether that's sleeping too much or too little. I'm yet to meet someone here who has a healthy sleep schedule. Now then, where were we? So for those who've just joined, like I said, someone is trying to reanimate the dead, but their professors and stuff don't want them to. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. But that's a very good point, actually. And there we go. He felt that the tradition-bound elders should ignore his singular results on animals and persist in their denial of the possibility of reanimation. It was inexpressibly disgusting and almost incomprehensible to a youth of Wesker's logical temperament. Wesker. I said Wesker instead of West. Oh dear. I do apologise. That'd be the Albert Wesker plaguing my mind. Only the greater maturity could help him understand the chronic mental limitations of the professor-doctor type, the product of generations of pathetic puritanism, kindly, conscientious, and sometimes gentle and amiable, yet always narrow, intolerant, custom-ridden, and lacking in perspective. Age has more charity for these incomplete yet high-souled characters, whose worst real vice is timidity, and who are ultimately punished by the general ridicule for their intellectual sins. Sins like Ptolemism, Calvinism, anti-Darwinism, anti-Nicism, I don't know what that is, I'll be honest with you, and every sort of authoritarianism and sumptuary legislation. West, young, despite his marvellous scientific acquirements, had scant patience with good Dr. Hazley and his erudite colleagues, and nursed an increasing resentment, coupled with a desire to prove his theories to these obtuse worthies in some striking and dramatic fashion. Like most youths, he indulged in the elaborate daydreams of revenge, triumph, and final magnanimous forgiveness. And then, when he'd come to the scourge, grinning and lethal from the nightmare caverns to Taurus. West and I graduated about the time of its beginning, but had remained with the additional work at summer school, so that we were in Arkham when it broke out with full demonic fury upon the town. Though not as yet licensed physicians, we now had our degrees, and were pressed frantically into the public service as the numbers stricken grew. The situation was almost past management, and deaths ensued too frequently for the local undertakers to fully handle. Burials without embalming were made in rapid succession, and even the Christchurch Cemetery receiving tombs crammed with coffins of the unembalmed dead. This circumstance was not without effect on West, who thought often the irony of the situation. So many fresh specimens, yet none for his persecuted researchers. We were frightfully overworked, and the terrific mental and nervous strain made my friend brood morbidly. But West's gentle enemies were no less harassed with frustrating duties. College has all but closed, and every doctor in the medical faculty was helping fight the typhoid plague. Dr. Housley, in the particular, had ever distinguished himself in a sacrificing service, applying his extreme skill with the wholehearted energy to cases which many others shunned because of danger or apparent hopelessness. Ah, Clockwork Kobold, welcome in. How are you doing? Before a month was over, the fearless Dean had become a popular hero, though he seemed unconscious of his fame as he struggled to keep from collapsing off the physical fatigue and nervous exhaustion. West could not withhold admiration for the fortitude of his foe, but because of this was even more determined to prove for him the truth among his amazing doctrines. Taking advantage of the disorganization of both college work and municipal health regulations, he managed to get a recently deceased body smuggled to the university dissecting room at night, and, in my presence, injected a new modification of his solution. The thing that actually opened his eyes, but only stared at the ceiling with a soul-petrifying horror before collapsing into an inertness from which nothing could arouse it. West said it was not fresh enough, and that the hot summer air does not favour corpses. That time we were almost caught before we incinerated the thing, and West doubted the advisability of repeating his daring misuse of the college laboratory. Oh, misfortune. An ad's about to start. No. Misfortune. Supervillain Misfortune. Thank you, my dear, for the raid. Let me give you that wonderful shout out. What were you up to? How have you been? Welcome in, raiders. I am the Morbid Moth, a sassy British moth VTuber who sucks at games in life, and today we're having our cozy reading Sundays. We're reading some Herbert West Reanimator by H.P Lovecraft, and overall just having a general nice vibe, a nice coziness. I was having my synthwave Stellaris Saturdays. Ooh, fantastic. Well, I hope it went well. I must apologise to the raiders who have just come in. An ad break is starting very soon, and I can't snooze it because I've already snoozed all of them. So I do apologise, but thank you so much for the raid. I hope you had a wonderful Stellaris. You did? Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Because it was good being able to play some Among Us as well as you, even if it was for a little while. I hope to see you soon to raise the world of churros to all streamers. And then go for friends. I wasn't able to play that, but it looks like you guys had fun. I stuck around for a little bit before sadly falling asleep. I got a solid 3 hours sleep though, you'd be proud of me. But I'm glad you had fun, and thank you so much for the raid. That's very sweet of you. Don't forget to go hydrate, have a stretch, all of that wonderful goodness. Do all that post-stream care. Oh no! Oh, bless you. I'm glad you had fun afterwards, though. Thank you, Miss Fortune. You take care of yourself, my lovely. Hopefully we can catch up soon. Ada, hello. You little chaotic being, you. Now, an ad is just about to start, so like I said, I'm not going to continue the story till everyone's back from Adland. How are you doing, Ada? How have you been? Welcome to, Soft Reading Sundays. Reanimator is a good one. I think it's just a good length as well. How are you doing? It's very cozy and soft. I'm glad to hear that is the vibe I'm trying to achieve with this. Thighs will be my demise. Oh, you and me both. You and me both. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. That is very sweet of you. Like I said, we are doing a little cozy stream for a change. Well, I say for a change, you know what I mean. Let me just have a stretch, don't mind me. Big stretch. There we go. Okay, the ad is in process. We shall wait patiently for a moment. Whoopsie daisy, didn't mean to move everyone along. But welcome to my library. It's had a bit of an update, as you can see. I need to get some more collections for my table. At the moment it's a bit barren, but that's okay. As I was saying to everyone, you're here to listen more than look at me on my silly little desk, aren't you? I've got my deep voice on, my speaking softly and quietly, and eventually going to turn into a frog. I'm about to pass out. 35 hours strong awake. Vice. Oh my gosh. Farewell and good night from Dallas. Never forget your churro, man. Never. Vice. Sleep well. Get some bloody good rest. 35 hours, you poor thing. Absolutely. Please go and rest well. You take care, and hopefully I'll see you soon as well. getting McDonald's. Well, enjoy your McDonald's and do get some sleep. Welcome back from Adland, everyone. If you are still here, thank you very much. I know what it's like. Thank you ever so much if you are still here from the ads. Those obnoxious little things. Okay. Now, before chat distracts me further, how dare you? Let's continue. The peak of the epidemic was reached in August. West and I were almost dead, and Dr. Housley did die on the 14th. The students all attended the hasty funeral on the 15th and brought an impressive wreath, though the latter was quite overshadowed by the tribute sent by the wealthy Arkham citizens and the municipality itself. It was almost a public affair, for the dean had surely been a public benefactor. After the entombment, we were all somewhat depressed and spent the afternoon at the bar of the commercial house, where West, though shaken by the death of his chief opponent, chilled at the rest of us with the references to his notorious theories. Most of the students went home or with various duties of the evening advanced, but West persuaded me to aid him in making a night of it. West's landlady saw us arrive at his room about 2 in the morning, and with a third man between us, and told her husband that we all evidently dined and wined rather well. Apparently that ridiculous matron was right, for at about 3 a.m. the whole house was roused by cries coming from West's room. When they broke down the door, they found the two of us unconscious on the blood-stained carpet, beaten, scratched, and mauled, and with the broken remnants of West's bottles and instruments around us. Only an open window told of what had become of our assailant, and many wondered how he himself had fared after the terrific leap from the second story to the lawn in which he must have made. There were some strange garments in the room, but West, upon regaining consciousness, said that they did not belong to the stranger, but were specimens collected for the bacterial analysis in the course of investigations on this transmission of the germ diseases. They're talking about typhoid, for those who have missed it. He ordered them burnt as soon as possible in the Capacci's fireplace, and to the police we both declared ignorance of our late companion's identity. He was, West nervously said, a congenial stranger whom he had met at some downtown bar of uncertain location. We'd all been rather jovial, and West and I did not wish to have our homogeneous companion hunted down. That same night saw the beginning of the second Arkham horror, the horror that to me eclipsed the plague itself. Christchurch Cemetery was the scene of a terrible killing, a watchman having been clawed to death in a manner not too hideous for the description, but raising a doubt as to the human agency of the deed. The victim had been seen alive, and considerably after midnight, the dawn revealed the unutterable thing. The manager of a circus at the neighbouring town of Bolton was questioned, but he swore no beast at that time escaped from his cage. Those who found the body noted a trail of blood leading to the receiving tomb, where a small pool of red lay on the concrete just outside of the gate. A fainter trail led towards the woods, but it soon gave out. The next night, devils danced on the roof of Arkham, and an unnatural madness howled in the wind. Through the fevered town had crept a curse which some had said was greater than the plague, and which some whispered was the embodied demon soul of the plague itself. 8 houses were entered by a nameless thing, which strewed red death in its wake. In all, 17 maimed and shapeless remnants of bodies were left behind by the voiceless, sadistic monster that crept abroad. A few persons had seen it in the dark, and said it was white, like a malformed ape or anthropomorphic fiend. It had not left behind quite all that it attacked, for sometimes it had been hungry. The number it had killed was 14. 3 of the bodies had been stricken in homes and had not been alive. On the third night, frantic bands of searchers led by the police captured it in a house on Crane Street in the Miskatonic campus. They'd organized a quest with care, keeping in touch by means of volunteer telephone situations, and when someone in the college district reported hearing a scratching at a shattered window, the net was quickly spread. On account of the general alarm and precautions, there were only 2 more victims, and the capture effected without major casualties. The thing was finally stopped by a bullet, though not a fatal one, and was rushed to the local hospital amidst universal excitement and loathing. Or it had been a man. This much was clear despite nauseous eyes, the voiceless simonism, and the demonic savagery. They dressed its wound and carted it to the asylum at Sefton, where it beat its head against the walls of the padded cell for 16 years, until the recent mishap, when it escaped under circumstances that few like to mention. What had most disgusted the surgeons of Arkham was a thing they noticed when the monster's face was cleaned: the mocking, unbelievable resemblance to a learned and self-sacrificing martyr who had been entombed but 3 days before the late Dr. Alan Hazley, public benefactor and dean of the medical school of the Miskatonic University. To the vanished Herbert West, and to me, the disgust and horror was supreme. And I shudder tonight as I think of it, and shudder even more than I did that morning when West muttered through his bandages, "Damn it, it wasn't quite fresh enough." Thank you so much, Leo Lectoris, for the follow, and thank you, Quincy, also for the follow. Welcome in. I hope you are taking care this wonderful evening or morning. Chapter 3. 6 Shots by Midnight. It is uncommon to fire all 6 shots of a revolver with great suddenness, when one would probably be sufficient, but many things in the life of Herbert West were uncommon. It is, for instance, not often that a younger physician leaving college is obliged to conceal the principles which guide his selection of a home and office. Yet, that was the case with Herbert West. When he and I obtained our degrees at the medical school, and also sought to relieve our poverty by setting up as general practitioners, we took great care not to say that we chose our house because it was fairly well isolated, and as near as possible to the posher's field. Reticence such as this is seldom without cause, nor indeed was ours, for our requirements were those resulting from a life work distinctly unpopular. Outwardly we were doctors only, but beneath the surface were aims of a far greater and more terrible moment. The essence of Herbert West's existence was a quest amid black and forbidden realms of the unknown, in which he hoped to uncover the secret of life and restore to the perpetual animation the graveyard's cold clay. Such a quest demands strange materials, and among them fresh human bodies. In order to keep them supplied with these indispensable things, one must live quietly, and not far from a place of informal internment. West and I had met in college, and I had been the one only to sympathize with his hideous experiments. Gradually, I'd come to be his inseparable assistant, and now that we were out of college, we had to keep together. It was not easy to find an opening for 2 doctors and company, but finally the influence of the university secured us a practice in Bolton, a factory town near Arkham, the seat of the college. The Bolton worsted mills are the largest in the Miskatonic Valley, and their polyglot employees are never unpopular as the patient with the local physician. We chose our house with the greatest care, seizing at last on a rather run-down cottage near the end of Pond Street, 5 numbers from the closest neighbour, and separated from the local poulter's field by only a stretch of meadowland, bisected by a narrow neck of the rather dense forest which lies to the north. The distance was greater than we wished, but we could get no nearer house without going on the other side of the field, wholly outside of the factory district. We were not much displeased, however, since there would be no people between us and our sinister source of supplies. The walk was a trifle long, but we could haul our silently specimens undisturbed, and our practice was surprisingly large, from the very first large enough to please most young doctors, and large enough to prove a bore and a burden to students whose real interest lay elsewhere. The mill hands were of somewhat turbulent inclinations, and besides their many natural needs, their frequent clashes and stabbings of phrase gave us plenty to do. But what actually absorbed our minds was the secret laboratory we had filled up in the cellar. The laboratory with the long table under the electric lights, where in the small hours of the morning we injected West's various solutions into the veins of the things we dragged from Potter's Field. West was experimenting madly to find something which could start a man's vital motions anew after they had been stopped by the thing we called death. But it encountered the most ghastly obstacles. The solution had to be differently compounded for different types. What would serve for guinea pigs would not serve for human beings, and different human specimens required large modifications. Thank you for the follow, Nagilol. Welcome into the Morbid Mansion. Do take a seat, and I hope you enjoy your stay. The bodies had to be exceedingly fresh, or the slight decomposition of brain tissue would have rendered the perfect reanimation impossible. Indeed, the greatest problem was to get them fresh enough. West had horrible experiences during his secret college researches with corpses of doubtful vintage. The results of partial and perfect animation were much more hideous than with the total failures, and we both held fearsome recollections of such things. Ever since our first demonic session in the deserted farmhouse on Meadow Hill, Arkham, we'd felt a brooding menace, and West, though a calm, blonde, blue-eyed scientific automaton in most respects, often confessed to a shuddering sensation of stealthy pursuit. He half felt that he was followed, a psychological delusion of shaken nerve, and Hal's undeniably disturbing fact that at least one of our reanimated specimens was still alive. A frightful, carnivorous thing in a padded cell in Sefton. Then there was another, our first, whose exact fate we never did learn. We had fair luck for specimens in Bolton, much better than in Arkham, and we had not been settled a week before we got an accident victim on the very night of a burial, and made it open its eyes with an amazingly rational expression before the solution failed. It had lost an arm, and if it had been the perfect body, we might have succeeded better. Between then and the next January, we secured 3 more. 1 total failure, 1 case marked of muscular motion, and 1 rather shivery thing. It rose of itself and uttered a sound. Then came a period where luck was poor. Interments fell off, and those did occur where specimens are either too diseased or maimed for use. We kept track of all of the deaths and their circumstances with systematic care. One March night, however, we unexpectedly attained a specimen which did not come from the Potter's Field. In Bolton, the prevailing spirit of putinism had outlawed the sport of boxing, with the usual result. Surreptitious and ill-concocted bouts among the mill workers were common, and occasionally professional talent of a low grade was imported. This late winter that night there had been a recent match, such a match evidently with disastrous results, since 2 timorous Poles had come to us incoherently and whispered entreaties to attend to a very secret and desperate case. We'd followed them to an abandoned barn, where the remnants of a crowd of frightened foreigners were watching a silent form on the floor. The match had been between Kid O'Brien, a lovely and outquaking youth with the very unhooked nose, and Buck Robinson, the Harlem Smoke. The man had been knocked out, and the moment's examination showed that he had permanently remained so. He was a lonesome thing, with abnormally long arms which I could not help recalling for legs, and a face that conjured up thoughts of unspeakable secrets and poundings under an eerie moon. The body must have worked even worse in life, but the world holds many ugly things. The fear was upon the pitiful crowd, but they did not know that the law would exact them if the affair were not hushed up. They were grateful for West, and I, in spite of my involuntary shudders, offered to get rid of the thing quietly for a purpose I knew all too well. The result was weirdly anticlimactic. Ghastly as our prize appeared, it was wholly unresponsive to every solution we injected into its arm. Solutions prepared from experience were with, well, other specimens only, so as the hour grew dangerously near to dawn, we did as we had one with the others, dragged the thing across the meadows to the neck of the woods near the Potter's Field and buried it deep. There, the best sort of grave, the frozen ground would furnish. The grave wasn't, well, very deep, but fully as good as that of the previous specimen, the thing which had risen of itself and uttered a sound. In the light of our dark lanterns, we carefully covered it with leaves and dead vines, fairly certain that the police would never find it in a forest so dim and dense. The next day, I was increasingly apprehensive about the police, for the patient brought rumours of a suspected fight and death. West still had another source of worry, for he'd been called in the afternoon to a case which ended very threateningly. A woman had become hysterical for her missing child, a lad of 5 who had strayed off early in the morning and failed to appear for dinner, and developed symptoms highly alarming in the view of an always weak heart. It was exceedingly foolish hysteria. The boy had often run away before, but peasants are exteriorly superstitious, and this woman seemed as much harassed by omens as much as facts. About 7 o'clock in the evening she had died, and her frantical husband had made a frightful scene in efforts to kill West, whom he wildly blamed for not saving her life. Friends had held him when he drew a stiletto, but the fellow seemed to have forgotten his child, who was still missing as the night advanced. There was some talk of searching in the woods, but the family friends were busy with the dead woman and the screaming man altogether. The nervous strain upon West must have been tremendous. The thought of the police and all of the mad peasants both weighed heavily. We retired at about 11, but I did not sleep well. Bolton had surprisingly good police force for a small town, and I could not help fearing the mess which would ensue if the late-night affair of the night before were ever tracked down. This might mean all of our work, the end of our local work, and perhaps prison for both West and me. I did not like the rumours of a fight which were floating about, and after the clock had struck 3, the moon shone in my eyes, that I turned over without rising to pull down the shade, then came to the steadily rattling at the back door. I lay still, somewhat dazed, but before long heard West's rap on my door. He was clad in a dressing gown and slippers, and in his hands a revolver and an electric flashlight. From the revolver, I knew that he was thinking more of a crazy peasant than of the police. "We'd better go," he whispered. "It wouldn't do to not answer it anyway, and it may be a patient, so it'd be like one of those fools to try the back door." So we both went down the stairs on tiptoe, with the fear partially justified and partially that which comes from only the soul of weird small hours. The rattling then continued, growing somewhat louder, and when we reached the door I cautiously unbolted it and threw it open, as the moon streamed reverently down on the formed silhouette there. West did a peculiar thing. Despite the obvious danger of attracting more notice and bringing down in our heads the dreaded police investigation, a thing which, after all, was not perfectly adverted for the relative isolation of our cottage. My friend suddenly, excitably, unnecessarily emptied all 6 chambers of his revolver into the nocturnal visitor. But that visitor was neither a peasant nor a policeman. Looming hideously against the spectral moon was a gigantic misshapen thing not to be imagined save in nightmares. A glassy-caked, ink-black apparition nearly on all 4s, covered with bits of mould, leaves and vines, foul and caked with blood, having its glistening teeth a snow-white, cylindrical object terminating in tiny hands. Chapter: The Scream of the Dead. Now, unfortunately, I am going to have to end the stream here. I am live again later, so what I might do is, instead of reading Cult of the Lamb, I am going to probably continue this story. I know it is very sad. That's the only thing about Sunday morning streams, is that they can't be too long, and it is incredibly sad. I wish they could be longer. I certainly wish they could be longer, but alas. It do be like that, though. There'll be more story time later. Whether you'll be up for that, I don't know, but hey-ho. Like I said, there'll be more later, and I can always do another one. Well, I will be doing another one within the week, hopefully. So this story is not over. We are literally about halfway through. But like I said, unfortunately with these Sunday morning streams, I cannot go on for too long. Now let's have a look. Where can we send the love to? But I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope it was okay. I hope my reading wasn't too monotonous. I hope it wasn't too dull for you.
Ancient. Okay.
Thank you too. No worries. It was wait. No, thank you. Oh, thank you for the posture check. But yes, thank you everyone so much for joining. I apologize it cannot be for longer. But might continue it later. We'll see what people want to do. I'll be streaming at about 8:30 in the evening. I should have a stream scheduler up on my channel, so you should be able to check out what time that would be for you. But yes, oh goodness. And on that note, I don't want to go. I want to read more, but I have to, alas. Thank you so much for all the raids. Thank you for all the follows. You wonderful people. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. Hopefully I'll see you around. A solar powered bard. Have a wonderful evening. Don't pity. Have a lovely evening, Sol. You have a really lovely voice. I can't wait for the next one. Oh, thank you very much. Again, that's incredibly sweet of you. King Ghostly Plop, I know, I'm sorry. And Robada, 777. We're going to raid someone who is called Hadrona. She is absolutely lovely. I've not been able to... I've raided her once before, but I haven't raided her since, so I'm going to send over to her. She's Australian. She has a little, like, kind of steampunk thing going on, and I love that. But thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day and night, morning, evening, whatever it is for you. I hope you have an absolutely delightful one. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you all in the next story time. Blorb. And to you all, do take care of yourselves. I'll see you around. Goodbye. Doodle pip, a cheerio, and all of that jazz. Goodbye, take care, and do stay cozy. Goodbye.